Have you ever been absolutely certain about something, only to discover later that you were completely wrong? Maybe you remembered a conversation that never happened the way you thought it did. Maybe you judged someone within seconds and later realized your first impression couldn't have been more inaccurate. Or perhaps you've convinced yourself that you were making a rational decision, when in reality, your emotions had already decided long before your logic caught up. Here's the unsettling truth. Your brain isn't a perfect machine built to reveal reality. It's a survival machine, and survival doesn't always require the truth. Sometimes your brain bends reality, edits memories, ignores facts, and creates convincing illusions simply because those shortcuts helped our ancestors stay alive. The most dangerous part is that you rarely notice it's happening. Right now, as you watch this video, your own brain may already be lying to you, and you probably believe every word it says. Your brain processes an astonishing amount of information every second, far more than your conscious mind could ever handle. If it tried to analyze every sound, every color, every movement, and every tiny detail around you, you'd be overwhelmed almost instantly. So instead, your brain filters reality. It decides what deserves your attention and what should disappear into the background. The problem is that this filter isn't objective. It's shaped by your fears, expectations, experiences, and beliefs. In other words, two people can witness the exact same event and walk away with completely different versions of what happened. Neither person is intentionally lying. Their brains simply created different realities. One of the brain's favorite tricks is making you believe your memories are recordings, like videos stored inside your head. But memories don't work that way. Every time you remember something, your brain reconstructs it rather than replaying it. Imagine opening a document, making tiny edits without realizing it, then saving it again. Over years, those tiny edits accumulate, until the memory becomes something that never truly existed. That's why eyewitness testimony, despite sounding convincing, can often be unreliable. Confidence doesn't equal accuracy. Your brain fills missing details with assumptions, emotions, and imagination, creating stories that feel completely real. Another deception involves certainty. Humans love certainty because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. Your brain would rather accept a flawed explanation than admit it doesn't know. That's why conspiracy theories, rumors, and misinformation can spread so quickly. Once your brain finds an explanation that feels emotionally satisfying, it becomes surprisingly resistant to contradictory evidence. Instead of changing your beliefs, your brain often searches for information that confirms them while quietly ignoring everything else. This psychological shortcut saves mental energy, but it also traps people inside invisible bubbles where they only see evidence supporting what they already think. Then there's the illusion of control. Most people believe they're making conscious decisions based on logic and careful reasoning. But research suggests your brain often begins making decisions before you're even aware you've chosen. Your conscious mind frequently acts more like a storyteller than a decision maker. After your unconscious brain reaches a conclusion, your conscious brain quickly creates logical explanations to justify it. That's why people can passionately defend choices they never truly analyzed. They aren't necessarily dishonest. Their brain simply wrote the explanation after the decision had already been made. Your emotions are another master illusionist. We often imagine emotions and logic as opposite forces constantly fighting each other. In reality, emotions quietly shape almost every decision you make. Fear changes what you notice. Happiness changes what you remember. Anxiety makes neutral situations appear threatening. Love makes flaws seem invisible. Anger narrows your attention until only evidence supporting your frustration remains. The brain doesn't merely experience emotions. It uses them as filters through which reality itself is interpreted. What feels like objective observation is often emotional interpretation disguised as logic. Perhaps one of the most fascinating lies your brain tells is that you're the center of everyone else's attention. Think about the last time you made an embarrassing mistake in public. You probably replayed it for hours, convinced everyone noticed. In reality, most people were too busy worrying about themselves to remember what happened. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect. Your brain exaggerates how much other people observe you because your own experiences are naturally the center of your world. This illusion can create unnecessary anxiety, self-consciousness, and fear of judgment that exists mostly inside your own mind. Your brain also struggles to understand randomness. Humans are natural pattern seekers. Thousands of years ago, noticing patterns helped our ancestors survive. Seeing movement in tall grass could mean a predator. Recognizing seasonal changes could mean food or danger. Today, however, that same instinct often creates false connections. We see luck where there's coincidence. We imagine hidden meanings behind ordinary events. We believe streaks must continue or end because our brains desperately want randomness to make sense. Sometimes there is a pattern, but many times your brain simply invents one because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. Even your confidence can become a deception. People often assume that highly confident individuals know what they're talking about. Ironically, genuine experts are usually more aware of what they don't know, while less knowledgeable people tend to overestimate their understanding. Your brain mistakes confidence for competence because certainty feels reassuring. That's why charismatic speakers can influence millions even when they're objectively wrong. The brain isn't naturally equipped to distinguish confidence from truth. Perhaps the biggest lie of all is the belief that you're seeing reality exactly as it is. You're not. Nobody is. Every experience passes through layers of perception, emotion, expectation, memory, and personal bias before it reaches your conscious awareness. Reality isn't simply observed, it is interpreted. Your brain constantly edits, simplifies, predicts, and reconstructs the world around you. Most of the time, these shortcuts help you navigate life efficiently, but they also create blind spots that can influence relationships, careers, decisions, and even your identity without you ever realizing it. So, does this mean you can never trust your own mind? Not exactly. The goal isn't to distrust your brain. The goal is to understand it. Once you realize your mind isn't a flawless observer, but an imperfect interpreter, you become more willing to question your assumptions, verify your memories, and remain open to perspectives different from your own. Awareness becomes your greatest advantage. The brain may continue creating comforting illusions, but you no longer have to accept every thought as absolute truth. The next time you feel completely certain, pause for just a moment and ask yourself a simple question. Is this reality, or is this simply the story my brain wants me to believe? That single question might protect you from one of the greatest illusions you'll ever face, the illusion that your own mind could never fool you.